So this next piece, I wrote it like, you know, the term strong black woman. It's, you know, really popular. But I think when we use that, sometimes we kind of get lost in that particular term, and we run the risk of just, you know, becoming run down ourselves because we're holding ourselves up to this particular standard, you know. So I just wrote it just because, you know, sometimes I was just saying, like, I don't always feel like that strong black woman just all the time. You know, I feel that part of strength is being vulnerable. Okay, and so, you know, I have accepted, I'm like, look, sometimes I'm vulnerable, sometimes I don't have all the answers, sometimes I am scared, sometimes I am, you know, a little like confused, like, you know, whatever. So I wrote this just kind of like as a testament, like, you know, we can be ourselves, and we don't have to, even though we're strong, we don't have to stay relegated to a particular box. Okay, so this one is called The Older I Get. The older I get, I realize that my tolerance for bullshit gets lower and lower. It recedes like a balding hairline and retreats like startled roaches scattering from a flicked-on light. The same way that waves draw back at the beginning of low tide and leave its glassy film on the wet sand. You see, I am a work in progress. About as perfect as a Gordon Gartrell narwhal. I never said that I had this shit figured out, and if anyone does, holla at a sister and tell me what your secret is. And when I do crack the code, then I'll know that I'm dead. See, sometimes I don't really feel like wearing my strong black woman t-shirt. It gets a little funky and I want to rip it off and throw it in the wash and cleanse it with scalding hot water and detergent. And repeat the process over and over so that the logo on the front gets cracked and faded. See, it's a little sweaty from generations of scrubbing floors and toilets and chasing after blonde children not our own, so that when we do get home and collapse, after 4 bus transfers and 6 train stops, the tolerance for our own has vaporized like the fumes of the cleaning solutions that we've inhaled all day. See, it smells too much like holding stuff in and not verbalizing or showing hurt because, according to the Strong Black Woman Bylaws, Article 2, my melanin is supposed to protect me not just from UV rays, but from me, or at least admitting it. See, sometimes I want to lay down that sword and take off that tight corset made of attitude and teeth sucking and neck swerving and no shit taking and burn it. So that I can breathe, so that my form can relax and fall outside of the mold. See, on certain days, I don't feel fly or fabulous, and that's okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, most of the time I do, but when I don't, why should my black girl card be another point towards being provoked? Sometimes I want to return that t-shirt and tell them that it don't fit quite right. It feels a little too snug in the collar, choking out my individuality, and I rummage desperately through drawers and old boxes filled with old hurts and rejections, and I'm looking for the original receipt, but the ink has since long faded to nothing. So I'm stuck with it, and I gotta make it work. So instead, I take scissors to it, altering, cutting, stretching, pulling until it feels a little bit better to me, making it my own and not what others have put on my back. See, sometimes I'm tempted to break Strong Black Woman Rule number 27, which states that our tears are never to see the light of day or reach the brown roundness of our cheeks, and instead we're supposed to keep them locked away so that the salt can erode our souls and eat away at our spirits. I want to rest and retire my aching feet from running the race, constantly pushing myself to keep up with everyone else's standards. I'm about to take a break and guzzle my water with one hand and the middle finger on the other, pointing high and mighty, and then I'm going to change my course. And instead I'm going to run from all the stereotypes that you hold me up to, trashing my resume because of my unique name, calling me white girl because I let my verbs and pronouns go unharmed, and view me as a freak show because I post postpone motherhood until marriage in my 30s, and you clutch your purse around me when my bank account has more zeros than yours. Hello. Hello. Judging my authenticity by my complexion, my address, the number of degrees I have, the number of parents in my childhood household, and other shit that I have no control over or don't need to explain or apologize for. How sometimes I want to be that damsel in distress to luxuriate in the ability that white girls seem to have to be able to turn on the waterworks at the drop of a hat and have everyone falling out rushing to their aid, even when it's calculated and their teardrops are suspiciously shaped like nooses tied around black men's necks. But I digress because that's a whole nother poem. The darker the eyes from which said tears fall, the response is more like, where's she bitching about? She better get back to work. But even if we wanted to, do we even remember how to be vulnerable, or has that memory been wiped away by generations of not having the luxury to outwardly mourn husbands and children being sold away, bodies being violated and wombs being abused and used as assembly lines, and the pain of backs forever twisted from bending over to pick white fluffy stuff that would build the same nation that still calls us refugees?
Go ahead.
See, this is bigger than me. It's bigger than you. And yet it is about me and about you just being seen as ourselves.